because there's only one man who's created water from air. Texas man Moses West invented an atmospheric water generator in 2015 that turns air into clean, potable water by extracting humidity, condensing it. His goal is to provide affordable drinking water to people in need, especially to those affected by water, to those with water crises like in Michigan and so on and so forth. And I'm like, that should be everywhere. Comrades, welcome to Not All Hood. What we can say is on trial. From Jimmy Kimmel to deleted social media posts and banned books, censorship is everywhere. Now, it's not new, but there certainly seem to be some new boundaries. What is going on? Well, I took up some of these issues with the show's executive producer, Layne Fontes, and creative director and producer, Troy Harris Jr. We dove into the digital age and the First Amendment at work, at schools, and more. Because when it comes to free expression, the stakes have never been higher. But just how high will they go? Enjoy the conversation.
Good morning, Vietnam.
And good morning to you, Layne. Hello, sir.
What's up?
Are you allowed to say that? Will you get in trouble? Will the FCC be on you for saying that?
It could.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Go back.
FCC won't let me be.
I got several texts about people who canceled their subscription to Hulu, to ABC. I understand that the button, I think one of you told me of why they were leaving said stations gone, because they know the answer.
Yeah, the little yep.
Yeah.
No need for us to track that.
No need for us to track that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this brings up a lot of really interesting questions about censorship, because we were talking about censorship from when we were children in the classroom to where we are now, and then what it means, and not necessarily talking about anything specific, but we know that what's in the headlines, we can jump off it and go a lot of ways. And so that's really what we want to do here today. I will say this, though, that quite frankly, when it comes to what people say, once we start saying anybody doesn't have the right to say anything, it's just a terrible precedent. I mean, and that goes for, this is why we give the KKK the right to march through certain communities if they get the right permit, if they, file their paperwork and let you know where they're going to be, and they are not inciting a riot, inciting violence, or causing physical harm. That's why the government allows them to do that. Is that right or wrong? Well, I mean, that's to be debated, but those are the laws, because once you start saying, well, I don't like what this group says, granted, it's the KKK, we don't like what they say. But if you start saying that, then the next group that, I'm slightly more conservative, I don't like what they say. Now, I mean, at that point, you're banning everybody. And I think that that's how people are kind of feeling these days, that, well, once we start banning, we can ban anybody depending upon my proclivity or my idea about what is right and wrong. And that's a tough place to be. Artwork would be gone. We could start banning plays. If all this continues, we won't have any more entertainment.
Well, it depends on where you live in the country, because it already started before, the recent incident, right? Because the rest of the nation have been sitting in a seat, taking a balcony seat, watching Florida, right?
Yeah.
As they pull books.
Yes.
And it's banned, and you can't do this. In Florida, you can't even say gay, right?
Yeah. I believe you still can't say gay.
Yeah, you can't say gay. That's censorship, right?
Yeah, well, in classrooms. In classrooms, and I'd have to look. We can look it up now if you want, or someone else can. But I know that in classrooms, it's very particular, and we've talked about this because, well, I mean, if you're a parent like you of little kids, a lot of parents do want to lead that conversation,
or at least be the igniter of that conversation, right? I think most parents want to start the conversation, maybe not necessarily control the entire thing, but at least be able to add some insight so that their children can see how they feel and kind of just help help maneuver this child through this journey is where I think it lands.
Right. Because if you're doing it inside of a book, so here's an example. You're a parent.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take your 5-year-old?
6.
6.
Mhm.
Okay. You had a birthday recently?
May.
Oh, okay.
A little Taurus.
Okay, so take your 5-year-old, and if there is a, I'm afraid you won't answer this, but if there is a, gosh, all of this is so sticky. I'm
Mhm.
watching every word
You
because
have to.
I'd like to keep my job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but as an example, though I've heard of professors in law class giving examples and getting fired.
Yep.
And the examples are real case law, and they just don't even want them to talk about it. And there are some things, and I'm like, you know what? You don't know how sensitive somebody's going to be on the other side. But anyway, in
Or
terms of
how it makes them feel.
that's right, and
what
how it makes them feel.
What seat their parents may hold or house that may have some influence. And that kind of leads me to kind of what I was thinking too, right? A lot of things are being censored, but it's kind of seem like it's all around the same topics or like vein of things as far as what's censored versus what's not, rather, I should say.
Right. And by that you mean what? It's all around politics, or it's all around, there's a lot of transsexual talk, politics talk, gay talk. You're saying it's kind of focused around.
It kind of seemed like the people that speak up and make things big are the ones that are able to control the conversation. And big, I know, is a loose term, but
right.
Yeah, it just seems like certain groups of people are able to cancel certain things versus other groups of people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So to correct this, we're going to come back on it. You can say gay in Florida, right?
Okay, you can.
You cannot teach that as a sexual orientation in the classroom.
There we go.
Right, but you can say it.
Yes.
But it cannot be taught.
It can't be taught.
It can't be taught.
And really, that's where you begin to, I don't want to say indoctrinate, but you plant a lot of seeds in school, right? Kids spend more time in school than they do at home.
Mm-hmm.
So if you plant the seed, then you start growing a person that, that might be within your political lane as they grow up. And that's why, politicians in general do want to get to school kids and keep them in their hold.
Mm-hmm.
They really are translating into votes. Let's be real.
Yeah,
it is
barely.
A marketing move, if you will, for you to start planting your seed and say, hey, let's teach our kids this. And it's also one of culture. And we also know in terms of Project 25, how we want, when I say we, I'm talking about the majority. I'm not talking about we, meaning I'm on that side. But they're saying this is how we want them to be. And you get them when they're young.
Mm-hmm.
As with anything, right? You start marketing them. That's why you get these commercials in all the Walt Disney movies. You get them when they're young.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like cereal commercials.
Right? Exactly. You get them when they're young.
Yeah. A child absorbs everything from 0 to 7. Right. So you're actually they're magnets from 0 to 7, and after that, release them. But you get them while they're young. You got them for life. Got them for life.
So
that's why it's easy. Not to cut you off, but it's easier to teach children good things than it is to reteach adults. Right.
So I'm where I'm from on Saturdays. Sometimes they do lunch with people who are cross-dressers or trans, and you could do brunch, and it's the look on your face right there. So that's what I'm getting to.
Just trying to understand. You said where you are or where you're from?
Where I was born and raised in Morristown. Like there's a place where they have brunches, and even where I teach, they sometimes the students will cover the drag races or competitions that's at some place right on campus. It's not on it's a bar that is in the town, but it's so close to campus. It really is kind of
on campus. Yeah, basically.
Yeah, it is. And so, but my question to you is, especially back to your 5-year-old, that is something that, you wouldn't, those who come to the library, right, they might be a cross-dresser and read. That is something that you would want to have a say in, I believe, based upon our previous conversations.
I would think so. And I guess because, children are very inquisitive. So if they have a question that they want to ask, and, kids aren't quiet either. So versus him asking this out loud to insult anyone or agitate anyone, I would much rather have this conversation at home. Yeah. or have some say so that, I can, or at least, if they inform the parents so that the parents can kind of have a prepping conversation or a choice. Yeah, exactly. Kind of similar to like sex ed being taught in school. You sign a permission slip. You say, yeah, that's fine. You can teach my student that, my child that.
Right. So I don't remember. Maybe my parents signed a permission slip for sex ed.
They did.
They did.
They did.
Yeah, they had to.
There were very few people who didn't take sex ed, right?
Yeah, well, it was required. We had to. It was not a
choice.
My memory maybe, but that's also a thing that sex ed has to look different these days. It's got to, and I actually don't have any firsthand experience, but it is. I wonder what it looks like.
I'm trying to think, going through the kids that I have, I'm like,
what did they learn?
What did they learn and do teach? Because it's funny you say, I don't remember permission slip, but I know we had to assign something for that. But what does that look like and what are they teaching? I think, teaching sex ed to me personally, that's a natural part of life, right? So hey, this is what happens, procreate. Also gives you the kids the big thought of going, hey, if you're not practicing proper practices, this is what can happen, right? So you're not sending, it's better than their friends teaching them versus, you're getting a real education on this. I do think parents should be involved, right? But every parent doesn't want to, that was a sticky conversation. It's just hard. Well,
every parent doesn't want to pass that test.
I'm still stuck on, I was in a Cabbage Patch.
Right.
My mother didn't teach me that. And then she just gave me HBO early.
Oh, gosh.
Sex ed and what was the other one? Home ec, right?
Sex ed and home ec.
Was which one?
Actually, those two today
were together,
even home
right?
ec would be very political today.
I would think so.
It's crazy.
Who's in the house and who's doing this?
It would be.
But I know in one of those,
a great class.
Home ec was fantastic.
Oh man, and then you got excited, not Nicole. I know you.
No,
but can you remember when those cooking days in home ec? And you're like, oh, we about to cook? Yeah.
And when I was in Montessori school, we used to make bread, yeast bread. When we were little people. So yeah, anyway, we got off track there.
No, not really. So I was just gonna say I couldn't remember which one it was where they sent. I can't remember if the little boys went home with them, but little girls would go home with the doll that you have to feed and kind of care for I think like a week or maybe 30 days. I can't remember if that was sex ed or home ec, but what made me think about it was when you just said, well, if you don't do this, this could happen. I feel like that was that conversation.
We all went home with the doll.
See, I can't remember.
I just remember other schools going home with was it an egg or something that was breakable?
It was an egg.
Yeah.
It was not a doll. It was an egg. And you had to take care of that egg. You didn't have to take care of the egg.
I didn't, but I remember seeing it on the news and other schools did it, but I didn't do that in mine. Mine was just like straight. I just remember in particular, and this has resurfaced over the years, and the teacher said, and men, I want to make sure you know this. He said, watch the war paint. And I was like, watch the war paint? And what he meant was, watch the makeup. Because when that makeup comes off, they do not look. But it was so funny that he even said it in the middle. But he was just trying to warn them, look, what's in the dark don't look the same in the light.
The war paint.
He said the war paint. And only, like about 10 years ago, I was like, that's what he meant. He meant the makeup.
War of the sexes, right? And that's you put your war paint on.
Yeah.
To go catch your victim.
Look, and he's right. Some of these before and afters, he's right.
Crazy.
Yeah. You saw the man who sued because his wife had so much reconstructive surgery, he didn't know what she looked like till the baby was born.
I was going to say that because that's kind of wild because when I meet you and I'm like, oh, you've got great features. Go back to sex ed, right? Those are things that they actually teach you, and that the attraction thing happens, through pheromones,
right?
And, women's lips expand a little bit, blushy cheeks. What happens and all that? So all of that.
Got an A in sex ed.
All of those things.
You tell us you got an A.
All of those things happen because of attraction, right? So when I look at you, and that's what it is. When I look and I go, oh, I date you. What I'm really saying is, oh, I'll procreate with you. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
I like the way you look. It really is, yes.
Mm-hmm. So genetically, yep, I can see my kids looking, goes both ways, man, like, oh yeah, you look like a great protector. You're good for my kids, right? So now that you were an ugly duckling from
Wow.
a kid to an
I
adult?
did not say that.
And
Bait
you
and
got
switch.
work done, and now we got an ugly kid?
Right.
That's
That's
funny,
a
right?
bait and switch.
That's fraud on your part.
That's
That
criminal.
is.
That's criminal.
So he's suing?
Yeah, he sued. I don't know what became of it. Maybe somebody can Google. I don't know, but he was very upset. He did not know that was.
I can get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. That's actually a mind blower, especially if it was a good plastic surgeon. Because some of those, what you see today,
Yeah.
it's like you can tell instantly. Oh,
Yeah.
you've had work done.
Some of them you can't.
If it's subtle,
If it's subtle. Yeah.
if
No,
it's
that's
subtle,
true. That's true.
right?
But with sex ed, I think that I'm interested in what Florida does for sex ed. They're definitely not teaching about how homosexuality
They're
is.
not.
They're
not.
they're
Do
not.
they even still teach sex ed? I don't know.
That is a very good
I'm not
question.
sure. I feel like I've been so removed from school. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because you homeschool.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Is part of your homeschooling kind of impetus because you really want to control all the narratives?
No.
Okay.
It's so originally for my oldest, he wanted to start acting. So while he was in school, they kept like sending letters home and, oh, you're missing too much school. I had to go to the superintendent to get it approved.
Oh.
Even though he was doing schooling on set, it was still a thing. So when he graduated 5th grade, we decided to homeschool him. And then my 6-year-old, he saw him being homeschooled and he was like, I want to homeschool.
I could hear him saying that
So we
too.
tried it last year.
Uh-huh.
And now this year's the 2nd year and he loves it.
I bet he does.
Oh, yeah. You would have hated homeschooling?
What school? Let me tell you, school. It sounds good to stay home from school, right? But then you start missing your friends, and that whole for me, I was a social kid.
Yeah.
So
I guess that's
Yeah,
after
I
having
can see
friends.
that.
I was a social kid.
But that's after having friends. If you start at homeschool, there would be no friends to miss. It'd be your cousins or your family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like.
Well, no, they have homeschool programs where you actually interact with kids.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
But you said you would have missed your friends.
Yeah, I would have missed my friends. I don't know if I would have been the same adult. I wouldn't have been the same adult. Homeschool. Oh my God, I would have been awkward. The girls.
Are you still friends with people who you were like that you knew at 5 years old?
Absolutely.
How about you?
Yeah.
I actually have one friend that I know from pre-K too.
Yeah.
That I know from pre-K. But they're my cousins now, obviously.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
after
So
all this
they,
time,
yeah, you
those are
couldn't
my
couldn't
cousins.
unload them. They were
Those are my
that was
cousins
you.
now.
That was by blood. So
Do you?
yeah, I do.
A lot of them?
Yeah, and it was mostly through school and through church. Yeah, but I have one friend, and our mothers were pregnant at the same time. Yeah, I just went
That was
walk
your
on. I
cousin.
just went
That
walk
was
on
your
her
cousin.
last.
That's your cousin.
No,
That's your cousin.
no, it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was just a
They
friend.
didn't refer to that as like so.
No,
when
we
that's
didn't.
on such
No.
and such. Because that's how it is in
Right.
our community. People when our parents are friends,
Are
and,
close,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's like, oh, that's my cousin. And
Yeah.
then for some people, realize we weren't really cousins.
Right.
He was just
That
my
hurts.
friend.
I think one of y'all said that before. That's very hurtful.
That was
You were-
that was another conversation.
Okay, yeah.
Yes,
Oh my
yes,
goodness.
yes.
So I just think that sex ed looks absolutely different, and it is probably very political. I need to check that out.
So the majority of states still require public school students to take at least one sex ed course.
Yeah.
So you have to take it.
And I think that makes sense because who's teaching them otherwise?
TV.
I mean, listen, TV,
movies,
movies,
commercials.
maybe a parent or two, but not the friends of
I don't
mine.
know,
Maybe
yeah.
the males too.
Males
Because
usually don't want to teach daughters that.
yeah, it's tough, and they still get themselves. And it's not just a baby you're worrying about these days anyway. It's a lot more.
Now it's a whole lot more.
Yeah.
There was a lot more then, but we just weren't like
As a
privy
tune to it, right?
Yes, yeah.
I feel like back in the day though, it was always like, oh, you didn't have the talk,
Right.
the talk, the birds and the bees. I don't even hear it as buzzwords or anything today. What's the talk called now?
You don't want to get the cooties.
Yeah.
I feel like cooties was probably back in the 90s too.
Yeah.
Cooties was before the 90s.
Well, there we go.
He said back in the 90s. That was
He's
nice.
like, I got
The
the
90s,
cooties
a long
before
time
the-
ago.
Remember, I got the cooties. Remember the cooties just touched somebody?
Yeah, you gotta get a cootie shot.
What was that? Oh my gosh. I'm trying to think if I'm going to cancel. I will probably it's just time. I have to go ahead and cancel Hulu, y'all.
Hulu.
Yeah, me too. I've
I was
been.
about to say you already did. Didn't you?
I've been soul searching, and I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna do it. Right. It's I'm not gonna say and be like, man, that's easy. I was telling you, I was like, I love Marvel.
Yeah.
I love Star Wars.
So you got the Disney,
right?
you got the Hulu, you got the.
So to now to go, all right, shutting it down. It's like, oh.
I guess the question becomes, when does that put us in a position where we're kind of,
The controller
disabled because, well, now you're shutting off everything at this point. Amazon, Target, Walmart, Hulu, and like you have all these things, and then when does that?
I think it's time for us to start creating our own networks, and we have networks.
Yeah.
So I think it's just about those people, those huge people and producers actually pitching or getting their things on those networks. I think that's really all it is. There needs to be a big Black superstore. There needs to be a Black streaming platform. All of those. I think networks, everything. I think that's where we are. I think we should have been there. Obviously Tulsa, that's where it was starting. And had we continued on that path, we'd be there. But because of the lapse and the gaps, I think it's just time to get that back started.
I think at the end of the day, if that was the case where we are canceling somebody because of some political or stance on morality, we'd have to cancel everything.
Everything, yeah.
And I think that's what I heard someone say. Well, wait a minute. I'm at a disadvantage if I have to cancel all of these things. Don't get me wrong, it works. And if that's people's choices, and I've done it too, but I've heard the argument on the other side. That's what I'm putting on the table. That doesn't that put us at a disadvantage if I'm canceling every media organization, every outlet, every platform that I think has been offensive or has done something politically incorrect in my eyes. Honestly, you'd be sitting at home, looking at the stars.
Yeah. So maybe you need to look at the stars because they're not feeding you anything good anyway, right? Well, if I turn on CNN, right? Let's play both sides of the coin.
Yeah.
If I turn on Fox, I'm being fed propaganda. If I turn on CNN, I'm being fed another type of propaganda.
That is true,
right? So I'm being fed what people want to feed me, right? So unless I have really, really good discernment where I can go, you know what? I can critically think. This is not what it is, right? And most of us don't have critical. Now, every day, everything's in a minute. I can send you something, a post like, Troy, look at this.
Right.
This lady said that birds fly upside down if they eat croissants.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm saying?
You're like, oh man. Feeding croissants,
and then now you
birds.
go out there and feed and then you send that to 30 other people who send it 30. And we're just saying, so we don't critically think. So now I've got propaganda that's coming in anyway. So what are you really missing out on? Propaganda?
Well, entertainment wise, in terms of, you can make an argument to get rid of my Apple TV Plus. I'm just saying, that's what I mean. That type of entertainment. But so you're right.
You're not really feeling Apple TV Plus.
No, I'm saying you could make an argument if you looked at, who owned it, what they've done. You could make a political argument.
Well, Apple has held out better than anybody else.
They have so far. But that's another thing. What's just being put on in our stream of conscious and algorithms? What if somebody today? It's kind of like, I didn't know Ben and Jerry's, one of the co-founders, had quit but now it's in all my algorithms for the past week. I did not know that was brewing. You know what I mean? But now we're all talking about it. Now it's a political football. So depending upon if we put it out there or not, I don't know. Maybe someone's deep down seeing what Apple TV creators and co-creators or Apple have done, and they'll put it out next week. Then we'll all be talking about it, and it'll be political.
This is true.
Well, you said something interesting. It was a little bit ago, but you said that it works. Like when we shut these things off, shut these things down, turn them down, it works. But so like, what do you mean by it works? Does it mean then now they're paying attention to us and now we're going to feed back into it?
So let's say, I don't want to give today's date to time it, but we're in 2020. Target, for example, they are seeing that the numbers have gone down quarter by quarter. You did have this CEO step down, I believe, right?
No. He got a promotion. He's the chairman now.
You see the
right?
chairman.
So that's you got a promotion. The CEO reports.
So
Yeah, that's a promotion.
So there was some movement. Like, I don't know what else will become of it, but people are still on that and hard. And so it's definitely making some waves.
But I think like the end goal for that is for them to care now, right? You said you do X, Y, and Z for this
DEI,
community,
right?
And now you're choosing not to.
Yeah.
So it works means now they're gonna do something for this community, and now we're supposed to flock back. So
that's always been the deal in history in terms of, please, we need you to do this, which is why we're boycotting, which is why we're doing this. But, and now that that's happened, okay, now we will go back to said store.
That's why I think it's time for us to create our own stores. I think, to me, it working is us not finding out, because I feel like this is something we've already known, but realizing that people aren't thinking about us or having our best interest at hand or at heart. So it's our turn to start creating, not to wonder, well, now what do we do? What else is going on? It's time for us to get out, create these stores, create these businesses, and there's no time better than now, the present. I mean, it's always been time, but it's like with all of these, like my mother used to always say to me, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Right. So it's like now, like, oh, you know what? Never mind. We'll put more money here. Come back. Doesn't seem right to me.
It doesn't seem, I mean, I will say, listen, people sat at the Woolworth counter because they wanted to be able to sit there. And then when everything happened, then they were able to sit there. Yeah. And people and Black folks liked sitting there and that's what they fought for. And I do understand what you're saying, in that, well, if we had our own Woolworths, well, then we wouldn't have to worry about their counters.
Create our own counters. Create our own. That's where I think.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I'm just like thinking
everyone tripping about Tesla, right?
Right.
But then there's a guy here in Atlanta who is building electric cars. Why don't we crowdsource, put into that, and everyone support that brother? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, in that instance, not, well, I can't wait until he makes sure that I'm good, and then I'm gonna go get that car again. Like,
yeah, I'm with you. Like, you don't want my money? I'm good. You just told me you never want my money. I'm all right. I don't have to spend it's like any other customer service thing, right?
Yeah.
And the customer service, you hear me talk about it all the time. I'm like, that's key.
That's
because people do not have to spend their money with you. And you do get businesses feel like they'll be back, they'll spend. And you ever walked into some place and they treat you like your dollar doesn't make a difference to me. Somebody else is coming in here anyway. Mind blowing. I'm not spending my dollar in here. Doesn't matter. Unless I am bleeding to death and you have the Band-Aids and I need it today, I'm not spending my money in there. I'm not doing it. Yeah, so.
The funny thing is, though, a lot of times when people feel like, oh, they make it so that I can't spend my money there, I'm going to go and prove it to them. I think that's when we lose. I think you sent me a video like that.
Oh, you mean like go spend?
Yeah, I'm going to spend even more now because you think I can't afford this? What do you mean? I can buy 10 of these.
Right.
Like Ego. You sent me a video on that when it was like marketing to the Black man. If he walks into a store, tell him he can't afford this, and then he's gonna buy it.
Yeah. Oh, that was a while ago. Yeah, that's right.
Like a lot of people fall into that.
That's right.
That's again why I say we need to create. Like we're very, very, very creative people.
Yeah.
Oftentimes when we're trying to chase behind these corporations and these jobs and this and this and that, we're losing sight. We're getting further and further away from creating. What was the last major thing, obviously, except, let's say fan base and let's say this electric car? What was the last earth-shattering thing that someone in our community has created?
Many, many things. We just don't hear about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's just the algorithm. You know what I mean? Many, 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 many things. Who was this guy? I'm going to have to look while you guys. I have this good example. Y'all go ahead and talk. I'm right.
I was going to say, when we go back to thinking about, honestly, like brands, right? Who actually value, let's forget just the American people's dollar, right? We'll go back to the Black dollar, right? So that's the attachment that we have to Cadillac, right? Because when no one would give us a loan, Cadillac was like, I got you. I got you, Black people, right? And we held to Cadillac to that, where people don't even know why Black people like Cadillacs, right? But because of 70, 80 years ago, right?
Because we brought them back out of going out
of
bankruptcy.
That's
yeah,
right.
Out of business.
And they said, I will rock with you. And they rocked with us, and that became the luxury car of the black man. And then we moved over to Mercedes Benzes and Rolls Royces and all that other stuff. But Cadillac.
So I love this. I found it. Why? Because there's only one man who's created water from air. I love this story. Texas man Moses West invented an atmospheric water generator.
That big machine, that big thing, yes.
In 2015 that turns air into clean, potable water by extracting humidity, condensing it. Do y'all hear this? Filtering it, and filtering the collected water. His goal is to provide affordable drinking water to people in need, especially to those affected by those with water crises like in Michigan and so on and so forth. And I'm like, that should be everywhere.
That was 10 years ago.
Oh,
hold
my
on.
goodness.
Let me stop you now.
What?
Now, his biggest contributor, though, I think his biggest contract, and I think who really actually kind of controls it is the government.
Government.
He was in the military.
Yes.
And I loved it, but it lets you know his brilliance.
Yeah. And it also lets you know what we're not hearing about.
Yes.
So you just have to do your due diligence, like you said, and look to see, because we are so creative. It's probably out there
somewhere.
You
It's
think
just
about
harder
it,
to
it's out
find.
there.
Yeah,
it's
we just have
harder
to.
find it.
Yeah, it's just much harder to find it.
Can you imagine? So you think something like that, right? Really would be in everyone's home, right?
Yeah.
So now, hey, I have a home. Every home now gets the whatever that is. The Bang Zoomer. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the name of the device is, it's a big machine. I've seen it. You know, you can move it around. I think he's done it in disaster zones and things like that.
It is big machine.
Yeah, it's a very big machine. But you think at least every subdivision would have one, right?
Yeah.
Every neighborhood on your block, you would have one. In the city. Hey, here's yours, here's yours, here's yours, right? That would just be it. And we wouldn't even be tapping into our reservoirs or the ocean, you know, because it's being generated. But there's
no way for them to make money off that. That's
exactly.
Why.
But I think by virtue of what it happens in the newsrooms, it happens, which since we're all our newsrooms, I love and appreciate that people are on here, because what we're doing by everybody having their own channel, if you will, and being able to talk about whatever they want to, we're really helping to stamp out censorship. Because if we go through the regular channels, you can call it what you want, but they're definitely filtering stories based upon their worldview about what makes it to air. Because only a certain amount of things can make it in the 30-minute or hour newscast. Let's say 30 minutes, NBC David Muir, or the Fox, 30-minute, and all those gatekeepers of information. I'm putting on the news that matters to me, and that's why this isn't always going to make it. So I appreciate social media and the fact that everybody has their First Amendment right, even though some of these people say it's crazy, but they have the First Amendment right to say that. And if you want to choose to listen to it, go ahead. But if we stop, and I mean, and there are things like when I think about Candace Owens and the president of France suing her, be that as it may, she does have a First Amendment right to say that. And he does have a First Amendment right. He, meaning the president and his wife, have a First Amendment right to sue for defamation.
Hold on. Those people are in France.
Exactly.
There is no First Amendment right that applies to them because...
No, she is a First Amendment right.
Yeah, she does, right?
Yes.
But over there,
right,
you can't say that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
this is now a global thing, right?
Yeah, but they did sue over in France too.
They did.
And then they lost, and then they won, and then it was reversed, and then it stood. And then she has taken that information and said, look, they lost in France. Now they're suing me. And at this point, this woman, the president of France, mind you, France recently had like a whole government implosion. And she's figuring out how to show Candace Owens if she's a man or a woman. Now, even with that, I still believe in the First Amendment right.
Yeah.
But I also believe that they have the right to sue for defamation.
Yeah.
And that's where we are. But we are all our own gatekeepers, and I think that's wonderful.
I don't think that And if you give us another 10 years, I think just like every other dinosaur, there's no more newspaper. Remember how long the newspapers tried to hold on?
Yes.
Right. So now they're online and they're like, now the biggest content provider on the planet, I think, is the Washington Post. Right. Which who owns the Washington Post?
Yes.
All right. So
our billionaire friend.
That's right. But I think with any other industry, it'll die. Cable died. The news industry, the way the network TV as we get it now, it's in a death. It's been in a, could we call it a slow death? Would you call it a slow death? Or would you call it a...
I would say that it has been a slow death. It's sped up. It seemed like it got a facelift during COVID because everybody was married to the television. But then after that, what also grew during COVID was people in their own platforms and everybody realizing I could be my own news channel.
That's right.
People thought Roland Martin, and he'll say all this, was crazy. Like, why is he was on these stations, he would sit CNN and and now he's on this online. That's so weird. Now look.
And now, where are you looking for Roland at?
Yeah,
I know everybody
where Roland
else.
Is. Exactly. That's right. You know
and
where he is, and everybody else is there
and
too.
I just realized too the other day, because I know Roland is, listen, he pumps out so much content. It's
he does.
Crazy, right?
He does.
Hey, for real, they are good at the Roland Martin. I'm telling you, they pump it out, and they stay current. But it just hit me the other day. I was thinking, do they pump it out on the podcast like that? Oh, Roland is giving this to them. Like, so if you're in your car listening, you're going to get it from the podcast as well.
Yeah.
They're pumping out right behind it. So you're just getting a steady stream of Roland.
Roland,
yes.
Yeah.
Good.
And people who are taken off the air because of First Amendment rights too. So you can go recently, Terry Moran, then we had Don Lemon, Joanne Reed. All of those are First Amendment censorship issues.
And look, they're actually
making out better.
They're better.
Yeah.
They probably didn't think so. I think Don Lemon, he actually embraced it. And I love the way he does this thing, right? He embraced it. He did.
Then,
just recently, you can start seeing Joanne Reed. She is like, boom,
she's
uncensored and uncut. Where's my sword?
But for whatever reason, Stephen Colbert, which I know people can argue, whose ever side you're on, why he got, why he's not going to be on anymore. Where does the late night comedy? I guess it could go on YouTube too.
Wouldn't you be more?
TikTok, you can put it anywhere.
That's where I watch Jon Stewart anyway. I don't watch it
late
live.
Night, you're not watching it live. You're waiting for it to come on there. So what difference? So if Steven sits in his living room and he does it with Candace.
Well, I guess the only thing is I'm thinking about the money because he has a huge staff. He'd have to be smaller. It takes a lot of money.
You got that down.
And then. He would just have to start from scratch, but he could replicate it.
He just needs a podcast studio.
He just needs a podcast.
And then he can go somewhere and just shoot.
Yeah. I guess I'm just thinking about if you have. I don't know. I'm just thinking about how that would play out. In other words, would somebody then come after the platform, come after YouTube for putting it on? Does that make sense?
That always stays on my mind. Then I go, well, what's the next thing? So then you have to have a unbiased. So I guess that's where like people go like, go to Patreon because Patreon doesn't do it until somebody eventually does what? Buys Patreon
and says take it down.
Yes. So you have to have fan base.
I don't think it'll ever get to a point where they're censoring people, but right now they're not.
Yeah,
they're actually welcoming everyone, and then you can put paywalls where you can say and do whatever you want. You can have, pretty much all the stuff you can do on there. I think you can just do whatever you want.
I just wonder how far the government will go to take people off the air, any air, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Spotify, whether it's because this is so unprecedented.
Is that FCC? Is my app being monitored by the FCC?
Not monitored, but the FCC oversees anything that crosses state lines, which is the phone. This is the FCC's territory, yes. So, I mean, who knows? This is what I'm saying. It's like, what is the end game in this?
That's a thought, because
It is.
do you then have I was going to use pirate, but it's not really pirate, but we'll just call it the dark, I guess it would be like a dark web where people are doing things on the dark side. Let's call it something else, because nothing shifty's happening. It's just below what the
mainstream
is doing.
Right.
But let's call it the alternative web,
okay,
right?
Yeah,
so you get the alternative web where people are going to, but then even that, right? It has to go through.
That's right. That's right.
Somebody's network lines, right?
That is managed
so if
by
I
someone
own
who
AT&T,
that's right.
Right? You can't push that through here, because I can then put up a server or
that's
blocks or
right.
something that
or
says,
take it down. That's what they do.
That's right.
So, well, yeah, they take it down. I forgot all about that. I forgot all about that, because I was gonna say, can they send cease and desist if you're on Patreon? Like, what if they subscribe to someone just to see what they're doing, and then I guess they can. No, they can't take that down, but they can send cease and desist.
Well,
right?
I mean, yeah, you can send us, not Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel. He did not get a cease and desist.
No, but that's because he was on a network.
Would you go back if you were him? If they said, okay, Jimmy, you got to come back, would you go back?
Nope. No. You heard me. I'm creating my own every time.
No, there's no, because then, I mean, what he said, many would argue, was not that egregious. So he'd always be teetering. Then he'd be under the kind of the, what's that called when you have a
puppet?
Yeah. The puppeteer would always be over him watching everything. And how can he live like that and be funny? You know what I mean? I didn't mean those quotes. He's funny. But you know what I'm saying? Be funny that's what they think. Oh, he thinks he's funny, the executive branch, or, Brendan Carr from the FCC. They think, oh, he thinks he's so funny. You cannot be under that and be funny.
Do you think that he may be in a contract where he's not able to do anything, so they actually had to cut him loose.
Yeah.
So it's like, I can't quit.
I saw a headline today that they say, okay, he's at the table to try to negotiate. But I mean, all that's very much a formality but could that, I mean, not unless they brought him back and he's just, able to go hog wild, which they're like, he didn't even go, what he said, honestly, he would have won in a court battle.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yes.
Let's be real.
And still will probably in a few years.
That's right.
In a few years. Because it just cool your heels and wait.
Yeah. So I just can't imagine that he'd want to get back on and let's take another chance to be kicked back off and play that game.
And I think now they're trying to wait and see if he'll apologize. I think that's the biggest thing.
That's right.
Because it doesn't make sense.
Would you apologize?
I would create my own network.
Right.
Like I keep saying it.
I agree.
If someone, without any warning, just turns their back on me, and I would tell anyone this: if you have the know-how and the time, then figure it out for yourself. Because I feel like once that happens, there's always this sense that it could always happen. You kind of start feeling like you're never protected. You're never just good. So start doing your own thing.
And they're comedians. That's a whole different realm.
They're going to cancel Dave next?
Yeah.
I mean, think Dave cares.
Dave doesn't care.
He's going to create his own network.
Yeah, Dave would, and you just be catching clips of Dave doing things at some, because Dave will pop up in the club for free somewhere, and he'd do stuff like that. So you would not be able to cancel Dave.
No,
you would not.
He'd be like, we're gonna put something out in the middle of a cornfield, and they will come like they did during COVID.
That's right,
because that's what they did. So and listen, I do think that if you have a comedian that's making fun of someone in the front seat who's handicapped and he makes him the butt of all of his jokes, that may not be for me, but I do believe he still has the right to say it. I just have to either leave or suck it up, or know that once you open up a door, you're supposed to be funny, and it's not a classroom, right? No. You have to open up yourself. So comedy, that's just something that the courts have already already and always protected, or else we wouldn't have Saturday Night Live or Live in Color or anything.
I remember being a kid, right? These are my first memories of comedy, comedy and politics. I guess Gerald Ford had fallen down steps a lot, right? So Chevy Chase, I believe it was Chevy Chase, would always do the Saturday Night Live skits, and he'd fall down to be Gerald Ford and fall down the steps, right? My first memories, and I believe it was Chevy Chase, doing that, and it was funny, right? That's what comedians did. They got on, they heckled. I mean, they heckled the state, and that's what it was. And for it to not be that, it's like odd. Yeah. It's odd.
And we can't leave it to the courts, because who are they to say? You can't say what's funny to you. It's bad precedent.
So I think that's the thing. I think they're still able to. Right? I've seen a few Saturday Night Live skits where they're mocking Kamala or they're mocking President Trump, and you know what I mean. I think it's when they don't find it funny, or it's outright speaking against without a punchline. Then it's like, oh no, you got to go. That was, you know what I mean. Like if they don't understand the humor, is what I think it is. If it's satirical, then it's all good. Oh look, that's not how he really does it. I think impersonations are good. I think like joking
usually Saturday Night Live is usually spot on.
But it's satirical. It's still, you know what I mean? It's like.
So you're saying that sometimes that sometimes the satire makes a political statement, and that is what rubs them the wrong way.
But that's what it's always been.
I was just about to say, I think the satire doesn't always make a political statement. Let me think. Satire, I think, always does make somehow a political statement.
It does.
Never thought about it.
It does.
Because if you're making fun of Joe Biden and the way he moves, you're making a political statement about his ability to serve as president.
That's right.
And that is political.
That's right.
So I think that's
and spot on.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's to make a political. I don't think it's for the latter, like you said, to speak on his ability to be a president. I think it's just to be funny. I think sometimes things are just to be funny.
Right.
But when you push the needle is when it's, whoa, hold on. What are you doing? You think you can do that? Not here, not in this space. That's what I think it is.
Well, you have the Jon Stewarts of the world, the Bill Maher's. They've been doing it hard on. Even Trevor Noah, right? That's what they've gone hard. That's their shows have been.
Yeah.
Go hard, right? Make fun of the political state.
Yeah. They took Bill Maher off. Gotta look it up. I'm not sure if it was after 9/11, but they were like, yeah, we giving you a break, brother. For a period of time there. I can't remember which, but it's not new. It's just that it's happening in droves, and that's like that's something else.
It's unprecedented.
Yeah. Let me see. Taken off air.
Unprecedented.
It's very dangerous. They're dangerous waters. I'm telling you, very dangerous waters. I told you, what I tell you, I was like, I said, in my time on this planet, living in America, I'm an American, right? And there were certain things that like wouldn't happen in America. A COVID lockdown would not happen in America. What else?
Didn't they reverse Roe v. Wade?
Roe v. Wade.
Like I was always
was not going to happen. That was something they talk about. Those were smoke screen politics back in the days, right? Anytime you wanted to just go on and just throw some smoke screens up, you talked about crime, abortion, something else was always smoke screen. It's like three main things. Like, you know what? Hold on, I know what I can do to grab everybody's attention. Abortion,
sex.
Right, you go. Right. Hold on, guys, raise your hand. How many people does abortion really affect? Right? And does that affect your tax dollars? Right? Inflation? No, it doesn't. Smoke screen politics. Maybe it wasn't crime, wasn't one, but I used to have it in my mind. I knew when they start talking about like smoke screen, they're trying to take your attention off something else. But that is smoke screen politics.
He was off the air, 2002, made a comment about the 9/11 terrorists. Yes. And so the advertisers got scared. And so they ABC canceled it, Politically Correct, in 2002. But then it came back on HBO, which is where he's been since that time.
What year did they pick it back up? They picked it up a few years later, right?
In same year.
Was it the same year?
Yeah. Now, see, that's another thing too. These other people could be picked up at other stations that, you know.
They'd be good on Netflix.
I understand,
Yeah.
But people are starting to cancel Netflix now,
Are
too.
they?
Yeah, man.
Why?
You know, Netflix was a great bait and switch. This is not censorship. It's just a great bait and switch, right? Money, right? So, hold on. So now, just many, many moons ago, not so long ago, but Netflix was $5.99, right? And now a month, Netflix is $25. During COVID, they had their own little off campaign of share passwords, share passwords, but secretly the next year they were like,
that's it.
That's true.
You're not going to share passwords anyway, right? So it's like, so then they started charging for you to share passwords, right? And then they incrementally have been going up. So cutting the cord used to be like, well, I can save money. You know how long it took for people to cut the cord? I cut the cord in 2015 or 16 or something, and it took a lot to get away from cable, because what did you know? Cable, right? Wherever you move, you're going to get cable, right?
That was the first thing.
I was the one telling you. I was like, you got it's nothing on cable anymore. I was like, I got this one.
It was
I don't even watch cable.
Been doing cable all our days, right? It's like, that was it. Then it cut it, and it was like, okay, what can I do? Oh, you know what?
Netflix, Apple,
everything is here, and it just loosened, and it's like, okay. So, but during that time, you could have multiple streaming, and it's like, I'm paying $30-some a month for all of my streaming things that I want to watch. Now, you've gone back to paying Comcast.
You have
$200-some, $300 a month, right? Bait and switch.
Yeah.
And then they don't even keep all of that content. So you might have that show you like, to name a show you like, and you're like, I got that saved in my favorites, and I'll go back and watch it. And you're like, they done pulled the content down. It's on someone else's, or somebody didn't want to pay the actors royalties. Oh, it was HBO.
And look, none of them wanted to. Ask any of the actors, none of them wanted to pay those royalties.
It was an HBO show. It'll come back, and because HBO did not want to pay them royalties, right? They pulled the whole show, and that was an HBO staple show, and they pulled it. And they do not put it. It's not there because they didn't want to pay royalties.
Look, we'll show you.
Yes,
who's got the power?
Yes, unbelievable.
No,
but remember, we're the consumer.
That's right.
And the actors and the comedians. They're providing the content, right? We are the machine.
We are the machine. Yeah.
We're the machine.
This is why I'm very afraid about. Listen, look at TikTok right now. Right before Biden got out of office, he was like, "Y'all don't make a deal, ByteDance," and TikTok is not going to be available in America. But then Trump extended that, and that's where we are now. And there's supposed to be some deal points on the table for the time that we recorded this for TikTok. But still, like even all of that is kind of, it could be not, you know, and you're on there making a living. People quit their jobs in order to be TikTokers and social media influencers. Ooh, I would have 2 side jobs besides that, because I think all of that could possibly be taken away. At any time.
That's true. Wow.
Yeah. And people have been arguing that's kind of censorship. It's my First Amendment right to actually be on here. That's been the main argument, what we're talking about now. You are censoring me by taking away my right to say what I want to say on this platform.
It's my platform, though.
Yeah.
It's like coming in my store. I don't have to serve you in my store.
I win.
Right?
It's my platform.
I want to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
You don't own it. So no, you can't do that.
That's why it's important for us to start owning.
It is.
That's the biggest thing.
But not to be the but girl.
Yes, but
the real ownership, I mean, you'd have to own the World Wide Web. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, if you want to trace it all the way back, who owns the internet and who manages that? And then you kind of get into the same cycle. It's all one big circle.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we're going to solve any problems today, but it's definitely something that everybody has to be aware of, because the First Amendment rights, it might start with the Jimmy, or it might start with something else, or a bunch of lawsuits being filed by Trump in order to kind of, that he's won these defamation lawsuits. But it really means us. It really does mean us. Not be so dire about it, but it does.
It is. Listen, I made this quote before. I think we were talking about it.
Are you about to quote yourself? Go ahead. Go ahead. He's about to quote.
It wasn't my.
Normally
it wasn't.
People quote James Baldwin, but
it wasn't my quote.
Yourself.
It wasn't my quote. But it's funny because me and Malcolm had the conversation. I think me, you, Malcolm, we had a conversation. It was one of those things that Ronald Reagan had said. Ronald Reagan said, "Hey, the government doesn't tell the people what to do. The people tell the government what to do." Now we know.
Yeah.
With Ronald Reagan and his, and that thing. But the statement itself still stands strong.
Mm-hmm.
We tell the government what to do. So it's
we should.
Yeah.
And we could, but I think the way that things have gone, a lot of people are kind of pacified, right? They feel like they can't tell the government what to do. I feel like people feel like, well, like even when it comes to voting, right? Why would I vote? My vote doesn't count no matter what. This is a red state. It is what it is.
That's not what
no matter what.
So.
That's listen. But that's the thing. I think if we start with the people and people are starting to change the way they think, then we can get back there. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, you quoted, so I'm going to quote Tupac. Change the way we think. Let's change the way we eat. We got to start loving each other and just coming together, and then we can start making changes. That's funny. I didn't mean to say that last part.
I was just about to go into the song.
I was like,
yeah, I was like, okay.
I did not mean to say changes there. But yeah, like real talk, I think, it starts there. We just need to start coming back together. Like, you're stronger in numbers. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, you are. You are. I would say that some people might feel that way, especially because, wow, if Jimmy's just gotten taken off the air, what's that mean for me? Yeah, who am I? It might be discouraging, and you're right. That means that you have to do more organizing. Now you do more organizing, not just around voting rights, not just around Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security benefits, but around the First Amendment, which for a long time had not been tampered with in this way. Mm-hmm. To think that you could lose your livelihood. There is a website, and it existed at the time of this recording, where if you thought somebody said something that was against a certain person that was recently assassinated, you upload the Twitter post or you upload the Instagram post, and then the powers that be who run the site will follow it, track it, and make sure that you get fired or suspended from your job.
Wow. Yeah, what do they call that? That's a
site like doxing?
Doxing.
Okay.
Thank you. That's a doxing.
Yeah. Yes. So, and I mean, just over the first few days, 30,000 people had uploaded. Yeah. This person, and then they're going to go and categorize it. So let's say that they look up your name, which it wouldn't be there because, you don't have your own company, the beauty of that. But categorize it where you look up a name and then you can see, okay, they go to that school, and you can look up the school, the university, and see everybody who's been taken down or suspended. Just really, I mean, people are doing a lot. Mm-hmm. People are doing a lot.
That's the story or the way that the powers that be is what I'll say control, though, right? Since the dawn of times, you pick out one, you make an example, and then everyone else will just fall in line. Like just forever. I mean, take everything away political, right? Let's just go to The Walking Dead.
Right.
Negan would take one person, you used to watch it.
Yeah.
Make an example. You guys are going to do this. You're going to give me 50% of everything. No, we're not. They try to fight back. They kill one of them.
Boom.
Crack a skull. Now
that was actually their thing. When they go meet, they didn't even come friendly. Mm-hmm. They just went and split a head.
Exactly.
And then go, are you guys ready to do business? They didn't even ask. You used to watch The Walking Dead?
I watched not all the seasons, probably the first 5.
Okay.
I'm glad I didn't say the name of the guy that it happened to. You got to see it. This is
I have to watch.
Changing.
Is it life? Okay, I watch it.
Yeah. They're like, whoa, shock the world.
I just use that as an example, but obviously, we can go back to slavery. We can go to everything.
Yeah.
That's the premise of Willie Lynch, right?
Yep.
The Willie Lynch papers,
yep.
right?
Yep.
I don't have to punish everyone. All I have to do is I can take let me take the father, right, and string him up in front of the family, right? And now you're scared forever. You'll never cross that. And that's stronger. That goes along generations. So I don't ever have to do anything. I just made one example.
Exactly. So
but The Walking Dead was a decent example because at the end of the day, that really was about forming a society. I mean, when I started watching it, I was like, oh, okay. But then when they got into, you know, the natural hierarchies that formed and, you know, who was a leader, and then you had to have factions, like somebody had to, it's a good show.
Yeah, so I just say that to say it's the same thing. Oh, you spoke out? Well, here you go. Let's move you off the chessboard. Now no one else will do that again. Right.
Because they've made an example out of you.
And when you look at the reactions, you see it as well. People who's known to speak out are like talking around the subject. Well, you know, what he said was kind of, you know, what he said. Like saying a whole lot of nothing. But I get it. They don't want to be canceled either. They don't want to lose their livelihood. They don't want to take on those same consequences.
Right.
Yeah, but then you just become weakened.
Yep, you become
weakened, right? That's all. Like so you can tiptoe. It's like having the boss at the job who just comes in and flips out on everyone. It's like, well, I'm just gonna just stay here.
Right. Just quietly. Is my paycheck still coming?
Yeah, I need this job.
Okay.
Yeah, I really need this job. You know.
I don't know what he's going through, but that didn't happen with me.
That's right.
Didn't start with me.
Not me, boss. I don't feel that way.
Right.
My check is still okay.
Yeah.
No, I don't feel
Let me
that.
start looking somewhere else. But you know what? I'm not going to say anything about these instances.
Yeah. So that's honestly what it all is. I think that's where censorship begins. But you know, with your background, obviously it's not legal. But what can anyone do then?
Well, I mean, I think that the group of people to really carry the torch in this that will make the biggest bang are comedians, because they have been so historically and highly protected. Right? Because what are you going to do when somebody's funny? Historically, we don't censor people, or else what they're saying about this is that this was in bad taste and that it was harmful. I mean, so is every comedian to somebody. You know what I mean? To some people, Eddie Murphy was in bad taste. That's Bill Cosby. You know, to some people, Dave Chappelle was in bad taste. Wanda Sykes was in bad taste. Bill Burr wasn't. So you're always going to have some people, which is why we kind of leave it alone, right? Funny is funny to you. It might not be funny to me, or vice versa, but we can't start touching it, or else no one's going to be a comedian anymore. Yeah. So if there was somebody to carry this torch, the comedians, not only that, but they're very powerful, because the other thing that I think we do with comedians, and this has to do with censorship and First Amendment rights too, is that they're able to say so much in any way in order to make their point. And they know how to look at Dave Chappelle. He can say anything politically, and people look at him to say that. He's almost like a leader in some ways, or people are giving him, like they are waiting for him to say things about certain political things. And that's wonderful, because he can say anything and get away with it inside of parody, comedy, satire, things of that nature. So if anybody, and they're powerful, all these comedians, and they've got money, so they can start their own, like you're saying, and people who have money have power and respect. So if anybody to carry, I know I'm about to quote Lil' Kim, but you'll be eating right. But they're the best people, I think, to carry this torch.
So what she's saying to close this thought out is Dave Chappelle.
You gotta say something.
Come on, Dave.
Step 2028.
Say something.
Dave Chappelle 2028. There we go. That's the takeaway. You'd have a lot of door knockers then.
Oh boy.
Vote for Dave.
That was good. I love it.
All right, that's it for this episode of Not All Hood. We appreciate you listening and joining in the conversation and just being a part of it all.
We want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share this episode with a friend and let us know what resonated with you.
And please send us pics of you rocking the non-merch. We want to feature you in some upcoming posts.
All right. Also, make sure that you subscribe to us on YouTube, on Fanbase, on Instagram, and really do that to stay locked into all of our future episodes.
Be sure to support the movement. Grab your merch at www.notallhoodmerch.shop. Every purchase helps us keep the conversation alive.
We've got some powerful conversations coming up, so don't miss next week's episode. Thank you guys for joining us.